Welcome to another edition of Hey Bobby with the Vice President of the Cleveland Indians, Bobby DiBiasio, brought to you by NECA-IBEW. I'm your host, Ray Horner, and Bobby, coming up next week, I'll be emceeing an event at Canal Park, which I'm excited about. It's going to be the cool days of summer, a picnic with the rubber ducks, and our featured speaker is Rajai Davis. And whenever I think of Rajai, of course, we think of the home run, but I remember you telling me the story of that night, the home run, the stadium rocking and everything. And I thought maybe that's where we could start this week, if you don't mind.
Well, absolutely. Anytime you hear Raj's name, it puts a smile on your face and brings back some incredible memories. One of the great moments in Cleveland Indians baseball history, without a doubt. And I'm going to name drop here a little bit, Ray, just to tell you that where I was when that home run swing happened. And we were up in a suite that we call the Hargrove Suite because we give it to Mike Hargrove and his family, and use it for business and things of that nature, and bring partners and season ticket holders in and out to meet Grover during a day. But during the World Series, we used it to entertain our alumni. So that night there were Carlos Baerga and Dennis Martinez and Kenny Lofton and Jimmy Thome, Travis Hafner. I mean, all these guys were in the suite watching the game. And my goodness, when Raj hit that homer, Thome and Hafner and everybody were jumping up and down like we were 3-year-olds on Christmas morning and got that present that we had been hoping Santa would give us. It was just so awesome, to see them be so excited about that moment. Guys that had been there on the field playing showed their incredible emotion for what just happened. And then you looked at the ballpark and it was shaking. It was the loudest. I thought Sandy Alomar's homer against Mariano Rivera in the division series against the Yankees was the loudest I had ever heard our ballpark. And this topped it. Even though sadly, unfortunately, a number of our season ticket holders sold their tickets to Cubs fans, it was the noise in that ballpark just absolutely out of this world. And to talk to, I actually afterwards was able to get to Sandy and say, I think that might have been louder than your home run. He goes, oh yeah. He goes, it was louder than mine. But anytime you got a chance to talk to Raj, he goes through, you'll MC it and you'll hear the whole preparation to get the barrel of the bat out to 101, 102 mile an hour, because that was so rare. Now guys are facing, pitchers that throw 100 with some regularity. Chapman back in 16 was one of the rare guys who threw up in the 100s, and to get the barrel of the bat out in front, and Hammy's call on that, got home and had to listen to that. And then you can't sleep because you're so fired up and so bummed out all at the same time because we ended up losing in extra innings. But what a memory. What a memory. Tell him I said hello. He's a wonderful man.
I most certainly will. Bobby DiBiasio, Vice President with the Cleveland Indians. It's Hey Bobby here on 93.5, 1590 WAKR. Bobby, a lot has been talked about this week heading into the summer games about protocol, isolation with the athletes, and I have my own question marks about that. If you don't mind just a minute, because I think baseball has some protocol in place with testing of players. Can you go down that road of what the players are enduring this year as far as COVID-19? What can you tell us?
Yeah, well, as you know, there was complete testing with regularity at the beginning of spring training, and we staggered players coming to the ballpark, and all of those protocol scenarios that were put in place in agreement with the players union. And as the season progressed and as our nation progressed with the vaccination. We are one of the teams that's beyond the 85% vaccination rate. For those players that are vaccinated, there's not really regular testing, but on occasion, randomly, we'll check guys just to be sure. If you're not vaccinated, there's regular testing that the players have agreed to if they have a personal choice of getting vaccinated or not. And if they have not gotten vaccinated, then there's a regular protocol for them to be tested. And just to say, we try to educate our guys that we think it's important to be tested and to get your vaccination shots.
And we saw that in Major League Baseball. Actually, to expand that conversation, we saw it with the New York Yankee team last weekend. I think they've got 8 players maybe that are in isolation right now, Bobby, even though they are also one of the teams that have 85% or more vaccination. So unfortunately, it's still there, my friend.
Yeah, it is. And a little bit, I don't want to use the word shocking, but we thought we had a handle on it. We thought with all the protocols and the processes in place that baseball has done a phenomenal job. Last year through the pandemic, we got through 60 games with everybody, a couple hiccups here and there that we expected, but nothing dramatic, and able to get through the season and the postseason and spring training, able to get through all that. But to think that you're going to be at 100%, not many things in life are.
Vice President with the Cleveland Indians, Bobby DiBiasio, with us. It's Hey Bobby, brought to you by NECA-IBEW. Bobby, let's go on the field. And I got to tell you, I get a smile every time I see him come through, and he's starting to do it more and more. And that's Bradley Zimmer, the leadoff home run the other night, and then Daniel Johnson with a nice job in right field. I remember a couple of years ago, you and I are sitting out in Arizona, and you and I both fell in love with this kid as an athlete and an outfielder, and we thought very good about the young man we got in the Gomes trade. But Zimmer and Johnson had a big night. Mercado's starting to get a little bit more playing time. But Bradley Zimmer, Daniel Johnson, these are 2 guys that have been with us now the last few weeks, and Bradley Zimmer really starting to make a mark, especially with the glove, and now we're seeing the bat come through as well.
Well, it was interesting that we win 2 out of 3 in Oakland, which we don't do very often of late. And the outfield was Mercado, Zimmer, and Daniel Johnson, the 3 real young guys. Although we've heard about them, they're still youngsters in terms of their major league experience and still trying to find their way. For Zim and the Jet, Daniel Johnson, to do that in Oakland in front of family and friends, Daniel Johnson growing up just a 15-minute, BART ride on the subway right to the Oakland Coliseum. So he grew up going to that ballpark. He said Jermaine Dye was his favorite Oakland athletic player. Zim went to the University of San Francisco, grew up in La Jolla. So both had family and friends in the ballpark, and to be able to play well. Zim's always been able to run. He's always been able to be a gazelle in the outfield, has a rocket for an arm, as does Daniel. But for all of those 3 young men, it's how consistently can they provide offensive impact for your baseball team. And it's true with every young athlete. We've talked about it, how many a million times that the growth chart for an athlete does not go straight up. There's peaks and valleys to it. And, getting that consistency is what you're looking for. But the more you watch Bradley Zimmer at the batter's box, he's spraying line drives over every place and putting down bunts and using his speed and just being, as Terry said in the post game press conference the other day, or might have been the pregame yesterday, that, you know, they sat down with Bradley and said, just go be the athlete that you are. You know, don't be so mechanical. Don't, you know, just, you're a heck of an athlete. You know, the guy's 6'5", 230, and he runs like a deer. And, you know, just go be an athlete and be the kid that, you know, we drafted #1 that we know can be an impact player at the big league. So, as you said, good to see both those kids do well in front of their family and friends. And it's going to be very interesting, you know, how they develop.
You mentioned the draft. We completed the draft last week, and the Indians went very top heavy with pitching and pitching with collegiate baseball players. And again, that's been the staple of the Cleveland Indians, right, Bobby? Pitching, 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 as we continue to have the generation after generation of pitchers coming through.
No, absolutely. And, you know, this was a very unique draft, the most depth of any draft, I think, in the history of major league drafts, simply because there were only 5 rounds last year. So therefore, a ton of collegiate players stayed back for their senior season. And that meant there were just so many more players available with more experience, especially at the top level, Division I, the SEC, which we were top heavy in college pitchers in the Southeast Conference, getting guys from Georgia, 3 from Florida. You know, our #1 pick from East Carolina, as we just talked about, you know, he tops at 100 miles an hour. He's 6'6", 230 or 40. We have so many youngsters in the AA level, position player wise, that maybe that was one of the philosophies. But I also know that one of our primary philosophy in the draft is take the best athlete, the best player that we have on the board. And it just so happened that when it came our turn, the best players on our board were pitchers at that time. There were some position players taken a little bit before us that I heard Scott Barnesby, our draft guru at our place, was saying that they probably would have tabbed if they weren't taken just a couple picks ahead of us. And then on our board, it fell to another pitcher and then another pitcher. But what does Tito say, Ray? You know, when you think you have enough pitching, go get more.
VP with the Cleveland Indians, Bobby DiBiasio, brought to you by NECA-IBEW. Bobby, to wrap up the show this week, a lot of people are asking me, I don't know the answer, and I don't know if you did, but have you heard anything new with Shane Bieber and Aaron Savali about when they can come back? We've already seen Plesac come back and had a direct impact and show you how good this team can be if we get our starters back. Where's Bieber and Savali? Do you have any idea?
Well, it was funny. Paul Hoynes sent out a tweet yesterday, or maybe it was Sunday. No, shoot, my days are running together. That he said, Shane Bieber sighting, he's playing catch. So that was a big moment, that he had been just doing weighted balls against a wall just to get that motion going again, and with a weighted ball to work on that muscle memory and build up his arm strength and shoulder strength. But now he was out just playing catch. So that's a good sign. Aaron Savali's been playing catch. But in reality, Ray, whenever you hear about pitchers, don't really get excited until you hear the word bullpen or the phrase bullpen session. You know, that's when you know a guy's ready to either jump on a rehab start or get back into the rotation. When they're out in the bullpen, letting it loose with the coaching staff around them, and that they feel good that they can unleash their full mix of pitches and do that for 15, 20 minutes. And then you know they're ready to take the next big step to be back in uniform.
There you have it. Another edition of Hey Bobby with the VP of the Cleveland Indians. Bobby DiBiasio is very gracious with his time each and every week with us here at WAKR, brought to you by NECA-IBEW, my friend, which puts the lid on another show, and we'll get back together next week. Thanks again.
My pleasure, sir. Take care. Go Tribe.